What's going on, people? Welcome back to AFTV. As you can see, we have landed in Paris. Well, we got the train. So I don't know if you call it landed.
Start again?
Nah, of course not. We're here. This is it. I'll be honest, my nerves and my emotions have changed already. I've seen the Eiffel Tower. We're gonna probably head and look at the stadium a bit later, and I'm now starting to think, oh my God, this is it, boys. The real deal. Semi-finals. We've got to get back more than one goal to get through to the final. Feeling a bit worried, but boys, since you've arrived in Paris, how you feeling? Let's start with you, Lee.
Well, first of all, I feel a bit stiff, like, I've been told I'm not allowed to move, you know what I mean? I don't feel too comfortable. But
you're also hungry as well. You want to rush back for a bloody...
Found a right nice restaurant for us later on, don't worry about that.
You know, people, right? This is ridiculous, yeah? We're in France, in Paris, city of culture, great food, known for their food, yeah? And he wants to go to some all-you-can-eat buffet at some Chinese restaurant.
Right by our hotel.
A Chinese restaurant. I mean, like
20 euros.
Honestly,
it's probably about 1 star as well. I'll be honest. We've had a good track record of eating really nice places, thanks to Moi and Robbie finding nice restaurants. Man. But now you've said, let's go to this one.
All-you-can-eat.
In the ghetto, but it might be right. We'll keep
in the ghetto.
We'll keep you posted on that. But listen, we're not here for food. We're here for the big game. I did ask you, Lee, how you feeling since you come into France now. Are you feeling a bit more?
Yeah. Like
I mean, actually, you've been quite negative, actually.
No,
but yeah.
I'm not being negative. I'm a realist. Like, the chances are we ain't going to win and we're not going to go through because you've got to do it at home. But listen, we're not here by a fluke. We're here because we deserve to be here, and there's a chance. And I do think it's going to be very, very tough. Look, I've been here before in this stadium and this atmosphere. It's intense. I'm telling you that now. It's a real hostile place.
Yeah.
So, and listen, we've come here a couple of times, never won here. It's a tough place to come and play. But there's always hope. And I'm cautious. I think.
Will it take a miracle? I keep seeing online we need a miracle to get through.
Well, it's a game of football, like, you know what I mean. And PSG are not what I would say one of the unbelievable. They're not a side that I think like, they frighten me in every department. They're a good team. Yeah. They're a good team, but good teams can have bad days. And listen, for us to win tomorrow, it's not a miracle. It's not a madness. What it is that we've got to be at our very, very best, which we wasn't last week, and they've not got to be at their best. And that's what we've got to look at. I don't think we can play any worse than what we did last week. I don't think we played well. So listen, we've got Thomas Partey back. Hopefully, we've played to our best. And listen, when we play at our best, we're good enough to beat anybody, as we've proven.
Right, let me ask you the question, Rob, that I asked on the preview with Laurie in Turkish, and they both said no. They said, no, if that happens, it goes in PSG's favour. If the best Arsenal turn up versus the best PSG, who goes through?
Who goes through?
This season?
I think they'd probably go through only because they've got a 1-goal advantage. Yeah. I don't think there's nothing to separate the two teams.
Fair.
Right, coming into this game, you could say, you could argue that what they've been doing and what we've been doing is similar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've been smashing teams in this tournament. To put the Premier League aside for a minute.
Yeah.
And concentrate on this tournament, the Champions League. We've been smashing teams. We went and smashed Sporting away from home. We smashed PSV away from home. Those were more impressive than I think they beat Brest 7-0, but that was to be expected. Brest are not one of the top level teams, right?
Started all right.
And then, we beat Real Madrid, home and away.
Yeah.
Right, so we've been really impressive, they've been really impressive. It's just like Lee said, last week we didn't really turn up. We looked a bit unbalanced without Thomas Partey in there. And they did turn up, they had a really good game. We had an off night, right, and we paid the price. But it's definitely not over yet, right? PSG against, you've seen it in a couple of games, there's frailties there at the back.
Yeah.
Even in the game last week, we're saying how poor we were, but we created chances and we should have scored at least one of them.
Yeah, when they play Villa, you see
we should definitely, against Aston Villa, right? Remember, at home, they won that game 3-1. In the second game against Villa, when they went 2-0 up, at that time, they were 5-1 ahead on aggregate.
They should have been coasting, cruising,
And yet still, Villa nearly forced it to extra time. It was, beat them on the night at 5-4 on aggregate.
Yeah.
Right? So, last season, they went out in the semi-finals against Borussia Dortmund. True. Remember, they were the hot favourites to go through then. They went out against Borussia Dortmund. When they lost that time to Manchester United, they were favourites to go through then. lost in the second leg against United. Remember, it was Rashford on the
yeah,
night,
yeah,
right?
yeah, they're really good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Against Barcelona that time, what they 4-0 up or something like that from the first leg, went out. So there are frailties there. That's going to be in their head. There are players in that team that have played in those games, were playing last year. As good as they've played, as good as they've been, I think they're a very, very good side. There are frailties there. There's frailties there in all the teams left in this tournament. We saw last week, Barcelona, everyone's been raving about them. They were 2-0 down. They were 2-0 down in that game against Inter. All right, they came back. Right? It was 3-3.
Yeah.
We are not out of this yet. I think if Barcola would have scored that goal last week, or Ramos, where they would have been 2-0 up, I'd be just coming here on a complete,
Different
miracle. Those are the miracle times. But I agree with Lee. It doesn't require a miracle. It requires us to play at our very best. And hopefully they've dropped a level or so, or hopefully jangle their nerves a bit.
Yeah.
Let them start thinking about last year. Let them start thinking about that time against Barcelona. Don't make it easy for them. Jangle their nerves. I know everyone's saying, "Oh,
do you believe in the stats? Do you believe in that source, the history? Because a lot of people,
of course,
you believe in the history.
It's worked against us on many times, right? Because,
fair.
like Lee said, we've been poor in semi-finals in the Champions League, but they've been poor in semi-finals in the Champions League. Someone's got to turn it around. So it ain't over yet. Arsenal got to go out there and show what they've been showing us in the Champions League this season. They've been brilliant in the Champions League. Brilliant, right? So we know they can do it. They can do it. This is not us just being here, there's been games I've been to, right, over the years in the Champions League, away from home, where I'm talking it up, but behind it, I know, very, very, very slim chance. On this one, I think we've got a very good chance.
What's the percentage? What is your percentage that we can?
A 40% chance
that
we can go through.
I'm with you.
Right? Because they got that one goal advantage. They are the favourites. But we've got to turn up and we've got to put in our best performances. Saka, all those guys who've basically in the league have just been coasting around because they've got their eye on this game.
Make sure
that you turn up. Because you've been coasting in those games. We saw it on Saturday. Well, you get a pass for all of that if you go and you win that game tomorrow. Because basically what you've got to do is clear. It's not away goals. It's not anything like that no more. You just got to go and win that game. Yeah. And you're through to a final.
It's no bigger motivation.
Final of the Champions League. It don't get no bigger. And I've been saying it for days and days now. It's about how you cope with adversity.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember teams that have just coasted their way to the final and won this. Have you, Lee?
No, never.
We've been around for a long time. Who do we know that have just bopped their way to the final, smashing everybody?
Yeah. So it's difficult. It's difficult.
Maybe in other tournaments, not in this Champions League.
No, definitely not in Champions League.
There's always a team that has a moment. Even Tottenham, when they got to the final that time.
Yeah, they beat. Didn't they beat?
They're on their way out. They're on their way out, and then the absolute madness, they're through. When Real Madrid, as great as Real Madrid are, remember that game against City? They're on their way out.
Yeah, it's fair.
When are we gonna out against Ajax and all 1-0 down in the first leg? So it happened.
We need our moment like that now. We need our moment like that.
Are we better as underdogs as a team? As a team, are we better?
Maybe we are.
I think we are.
I do think there's a little bit of the expectation of winning games. Going back to when, Liverpool won it back in 2005. Was it 2005? I can't remember when it was. 2000. Steven Gerrard, they were going out against Olympiacos in the group stages, and he hits a wonder goal. So listen, we need something like that. Listen, at the end of the day, I say this now. You beat PSV 7-1 at home, away from home. Sorry. Then you go and beat Real Madrid 3-0. The job's done. You think, right? Well, that's it. This is done. All of a sudden, you've got to have that little bit of difficult period to go through. You've got to fight, and you have to find a way. And for us to win this game, it's not like when we went to Newcastle, when there was a little bit of pressure on Newcastle and not get the first goal. We have to get the first goal, and we have to, I think, do what they done to us. That first 10-15 minutes sort of put us on our back foot a little bit. But I didn't realise that they could do this and do it. Let's do that to them now and put pressure on them. If you get the goal and put pressure on them, they think, oh no, we're going to mess up again, and you can take advantage of that. That's how I see it.
Do you know what though? Do you know what, Lee? I look on it differently, right? That That's the perfect scenario, yeah?
Yeah.
That's what we'd all love to see.
Are you going to do we stay in the games
Right.
talk or not?
But also, you stay in the game. No, let me tell you.
James and Turk,
Really?
they were arguing about this on the
there's
preview.
because you know what? There's different ways to win this game, right?
But we
So
need
there's
to
that
score.
one. There's that one. You go early. This is what the women did when they beat Lyon. They got that early goal. The Lions were stunned, like what we were at home. And then they got another, and then all of a sudden you just saw Lyon, they wilted.
Yeah.
And they went on. But then I've seen other teams go through by doing this, right? Like they stay in the game. Maybe they suffer a bit, but then they get that goal. They get that goal at some stage, and then all of a sudden, everything's drained out of the team that was in the lead. They're like, hey, now all of a sudden, they're very nervous because if they get another, we're out. It's only 1-0. That's the thing. When it's 1-0, that game against Newcastle, they were 2-0 up.
Yeah.
Once they got that goal, end of, man. It was at 3. We've got to score 3 goals to go, even take it extra time. We were out. But this is only 1.
Oh.
So, it's a bit like when teams come and play us, isn't it? Like at the Emirates,
Yeah,
right?
they want to
Sometimes,
stay in the
right?
game. They want to
And
slow
like they
things
go
down.
1-0 down and everyone says, they're going to attack us now. And a lot of them don't.
Yeah.
They wait until like the last 15, 20 minutes before they really have a go, and they wait their moment. So it can be, there's either method can
That's
work.
how we get so
Just
many
win
draws.
it.
Yeah, that's how we get so much draws. We've got 10 this season from
I
that.
remember back in '87. It's a long while ago.
Jesus.
Two-legged ferry Tottenham. Tottenham won the first leg at Ivory 1-0. We actually went 2-0 down in the leg, coming back to 2-1, won the game 2-1, 2-2, and then there was another game. So even like going 2-0, we was 2-0 down that day and still come back and...
Yeah, that's a
it can be
possibility.
done.
That's
You know
a
the thing is,
possibility.
Lee,
And we have done it before.
It's a
You know
possibility.
the thing is, Lee, right? These sort of games, right, for the people who go to football, you have to understand, right, or people who watch him maybe at home or whatever, you have to understand these games are different to normal games because it's a semi-final.
Yeah.
There's so much on it, right, that funny things happen. Nerves start to come into play. Players that will make a stupid mistake that we never normally see them do or miss a chance that they normally bury because all of a sudden you've got a huge pressure on your shoulders. You've got they've got the weight of France on their shoulders. Arsenal last week, they had the weight of the Emirates and England on their shoulders. Well, not all of England, but they got that weight on their shoulders, yeah? Pressure starts to really tell. It's who handles that pressure the best. And I just got a feeling tomorrow that Declan Rice is going to be big for us.
I hope
He's
so.
going to be back in that position where we've seen the best of him. I just think that, I just see him turning up again
He needs
tomorrow.
to. He needs to. Let me ask you about the percentage. Robbie said 40%. I know you're a little bit more cautious. Are you the same 40% chance we go through? You said the same? Or
75, 25. 25% chance. But 25%, it still can
Yeah, it's
can
not
happen.
zero,
It's not,
okay.
it's not zero chance at the end of it. Look, listen, Robbie got slagged off for saying we had 40% chance
Yeah,
against Real Madrid
that's-
before it started. So if you've got 40% and you before the game kicks off and now you're playing against a team away from home and a 1-0 deficit, I think 40% is perhaps a little bit too much. But listen, I say 25, even if it was 10%, it's still a chance.
Yeah.
You know, and
How big is Arteta for this in this game? Because Luis Enrique is a really good coach. I feel like he got his tactics spot on against the Emirates.
Yeah, he outdone him last week.
He outdone him, and I think people we spoke about just earlier. We said about if the best PSG team against best Arsenal, you tip it to PSG home leg. They got 1 goal advantage. So really, Arteta must be for you guys key to this and getting the tactics spot on. It seems
well, I think it is, and I think the pressure's going to be on him if he doesn't win tomorrow. I really do. I think that at the end of the day, he's done fantastically well. Look, listen, we're in a semi-final of the Champions League. Do you know what that means? There's 4 teams left in it. 4 teams, and people want him sacked. People want this and people want that. I'm not in that camp, but what I am in the camp of is like, are you the man to get us over the line? You've took us to where you got us. Now, can you do it? He has got to some stage to prove it. Against Newcastle, fouled. Man United fouled. The league this season again fouled. You can't keep saying fouled. There's going to have to be a conversation. But listen, if you get this one over the line, get this done, it's a massive feather in his cap.
Yeah, I think the fans they'll be very annoyed if we get absolutely battered tomorrow. Which I don't think will
if
happen.
we go out tomorrow, he's under serious pressure.
Yeah.
Right, he won't lose his job, right? But I think the pressure that he'll be under next season to deliver will be, But then on the other flip side, if he was to go on and win this tournament,
Oh my
all
God.
of a sudden he becomes one of Arsenal's best managers of modern times.
Agreed.
Right, because he's won the Champions League. Even Arsene Wenger didn't do that.
Yeah, I called for a statue.
You know,
this is
for him. This is a big moment.
Massive.
This is a big moment for Mikel Arteta. In the last round, you went up against one of the best managers of all time in Ancelotti, and you got your tactics spot on in both games, right? Can you do it again? Can you deliver against another top manager?
Yeah.
Not as good as an Ancelotti, but another top manager who, let's be real, got one over you in the first game. The tactics from Luis Enrique in the first game was spot on. He got one over Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta and Arsenal, we looked devoid of ideas.
Yeah.
You know, later on in that game, we didn't look like we were going to score, did we? We you know, so can he now? It's 2 legs. Can you now come back in the second leg and say, right, Luis Enrique, you got the better over me last week. I'm going to get the better of you in this game when it really matters.
Which you really will
That's
do.
what we're going to find out.
And it's also fine margins. As poor as we were there, you know, if that offside goal goes in, it could have been a different game. So there's going to be a stage in that game where we're going to have something. And when it happens, we have to take it.
You know what, right, as well, there's 2 things I want to see tomorrow. I want to see us do better from set pieces. Right, and if you actually look at it, we scored from the set piece. That was the offside goal, and it looked a bit all over the place when we scored that goal. And I hope we get a good referee tomorrow. I was really disappointed with that referee last week. I thought he was really poor. He didn't allow any physicality at all. He was really picky about everything. It suited them down to the ground. I want to see a strong ref. You know, Man United, I was watching their game last week. They had a strong ref. I think if they would have had that ref that we had last week, they probably wouldn't even, well, they might have still won the game, but I couldn't see that ref giving that penalty away from, I mean, he was so poor. So let's have a good referee.
A fair game. You want a fair game. Yeah.
But also, you know, set pieces, I think, is an area in which we can hurt them. You know what I mean?
It's a good way to spot. Let me just go through some of the news we found out this morning as we came into Paris. That Calafiori trained today, Martin Odegaard and Jurgen Timber trained as well this morning before heading out over here to Paris. So they will probably be in contention for, to be selected for the squad. Who's going to be the player to turn the tide? One player from Arsenal. Who are you looking at to galvanise this team and get them over the line? I want to hear one name from both of you and why.
Me first?
Go on.
Rice. I think Declan Rice is important. I think we lost the midfield last week, right? They dominated the midfield. I think with Partey back in, there's going to be balance. And when Rice did get forward last week and went on 2 players went on driving runs last week, and they had great joy. Him and Mars Lewis Skelly. Yep. I want to see Rice driving into those areas. Yep. But then the good thing about Rice is he can also get back and help out.
Yeah, well, he's got Partey back in there now as well.
So Rice, I think, is so important tomorrow.
Listen, Declan Rice, I think, will be the key, if I'll be really honest. If you want to go and me going out the box a little bit, I'm going to go Odegaard. I expect Declan Rice to do what he does, because he's done it in the Bernabeu, he's done it in the last league, and he's done it all season, and he's done it actually since he's signed for us. So I expect him to do that. Also with Saka, I expect him to do well. But if I'm going to say that, Martin Odegaard he's a captain, leader, he has got to start performing to a decent level. If he does, who knows, we could go on and win this game. And I'd love him to be the hero, because if someone said to me, like, I love Martin Elliott to score or Declan Rice, if Arsenal were to win this game 2-0, say, I want it to be Martin Odegaard that gets both goals, because he's becoming under a lot of pressure from fans, which at the end of the day, we've got short memories. Last season he was outstanding. Yes, he's not playing well at the moment. Yes, there's a call for him to be dropped. I understand all that. But at the end of the day, manager tomorrow, keep faith with him tomorrow. Please deliver, Mark.
It's interesting. Lorient and Turkish both went with Saka, and you've both gone with different players. Or James.
You could go with Saka because we need goals. Yeah. But I just think it's who's going to. Odegaard's a good shout. Who's going to create them goals?
Yeah, actually, no. Yeah, I think it was Lorient James. So they said he steps on big moments. But that is going to be it for kind of the breakdown before we leave. I need to get your score predictions before we leave. Rob?
I'm going to have to go with what I was predicted yesterday with, Ty persuaded me 2-0.
2-0.
Do you know what? I'm going to say this now, right? This is how I see it. You might think I'm silly. Like, I think it'll be a close run game, probably losing 2-1, or there will be a madness, and it'll be about 4-1.
So, like what the women did, that would be great.
I don't know if I don't think that we're going to win 2-0. I think it's going to be it's either going to be like a complete, wow, I can't believe this, or we go out and win.
I think PSG could either roll us over and it could be a wall to us, oh no, or it could be we go through and a tighter game. But that is our score predictions. Before we leave, Le Retour is what I said in the last preview. And on
what?
Le Retour.
What's that mean?
It means the comeback in French. Rotunda, wherever it was in Spain for Real Madrid. Le Retour in France.
No, but listen, we're not. I'm not French and I'm not Spanish, right? So it's the comeback.
Wow, I like that.
We're English. It's the comeback.
The comeback. A strong way to end. And before we go, just for a bit of fun, we've seen everyone try and do the pinch. Now do it. Let's see if we're in shots. See if you can try and get the Eiffel Tower just before we go. Look forward. You got to try and pinch. Go on. Let's see how. Upside down. Am I like this? Take a screenshot now.
Who's the nearest?
You're upside down. Come on, I'll try and get the pot. Go on, pinch. Are you gonna pinch? Are we close?
Who's the nearest?
Screenshot now and then send it to us. Listen, like the video on your way out. We'll see you again soon. Come on, you Gunners. Let's make history. Love.